Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast, coming to you from Tuska Forum at Tuska Festival in Helsinki. My name is Martha, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm here with...
Kiki, my pronouns are also she, her.
The next talk from Tuska Forum was about the power of community with Charlotte Wessels. Kiki, what do you think about that talk?
Oh, it was so good. It was so good to see Charlotte again. We had an interview with her over 10 years ago, and it was really nice to see how her life has changed, how the community that she has built around her has given her so much agency and empowered her art. We talked in a lot of detail about all of these things, and I hope you enjoyed that talk.
Yes, enjoy.
Please give it up for Charlotte Wessels.
Hello.
Get comfy.
I'm going to sit closer to you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to day 2 of Tuska Forum by Bleeding Metal. I'm your host, my name is Kiki, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm so happy to be talking to Charlotte again. Thank you so much for your time and for being here today.
I'm happy to be here, thank you. Thanks for the invite.
We are live streaming this on YouTube, and this will be also an episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, of course. But also, in the background, you will see a QR code that you can scan to submit your questions. We will have a Q&A later on in the session. But first, I want to talk to you about the power of community. That is the title of our talk today.
Nice.
Right? Isn't it nice to see our community gathering at festivals, at concerts, coming to visit you? And especially now you have been building a very strong community online as well. So we will talk about that for the next 30 to 45 minutes. And you went from the first time we talked over 10 years ago.
Over 10 years ago.
You went from having a full band to being a solo woman in metal. How was the transition? Can you tell us a little bit about the story?
It was a strange transition for sure. It was also in the weirdest time possible, and I think that it was the weirdest time possible for everyone since it was 2020, COVID. So the whole world was kind of upside down. One thing that made the transition for me, I'm not going to say easier, but smoother maybe in a way, is the fact that when I was still in the lane, I had slowly started to develop a space for me to put some songs that didn't necessarily fit what we were doing with the band, and it was supposed to be a side project, and this was my Patreon. Mm-hmm. And I put out a song there every month, and there was a community growing. The very fact that I, went to Patreon instead of a crowdfunding platform was that I did not want hey, I need funding for this project. I wanted something that was like a long-term commitment to each other, and that would be sustainable, and that would last, and that would kind of build a connection with fans that wasn't based on algorithms, but just, them saying, hey, I'm interested, and me saying, welcome. So I had started that already, and then when the band fell apart, that would have been a moment for me to fall apart as well. Mm-hmm. If it hadn't been for the fact that I had this thing which was supposed to be a side project, and I could just continue it basically. I think that if at that point I didn't have that, and if then I would have had to think okay, so now what am I going to do? I think that it would have been probably like a black hole that could have lasted quite some time, because it was such a drastic change. I had put everything in there for 16 years. It was my work and my passion, for all of my working life. Mm-hmm. So it was a very drastic change, and the fact that I had that community to pull me through in an emotional sense. Mm-hmm. I was half expecting everyone to kind of run out when that happened, but they didn't. Mm-hmm. And there was so much emotional support. And the fact also that I had already made a promise, I'm going to release a song every single month. Mm-hmm. For me, there's no time to sit and wallow in it. You know, I have a song to finish. I'm working on this video that I need to finish. I have a whole team who are counting on me to do this thing that I promised to do. So I continued. Also, just financially, the fact that after COVID, after the band splitting up, that after a period of that I could still call myself a full-time musician. I really only have that community to thank for that, because it's hard for me to imagine what it would have been like otherwise. So yeah, it was very impactful.
Yes, it does sound like a huge thing. It's also so moving, and so many things come to mind. And the first thing is how we develop these connections, these relationships through music. If I think only for myself, I was just remembering this morning that the first time I saw you live was in 2007. That's almost 20 years ago. And I have seen the whole development of your own growth. And it's so amazing to now see you here on stage today, and how different and stronger and bigger than life you are now. And it's just really lovely to have been able to see all that, to grow with you in a way.
Well, thank you.
And you were talking about kind of an accountability system with having to release, or having committed yourself, because no one was forcing you.
No.
But having committed yourself to release something every month reminds me of another interview that we did on the podcast recently with VK Lynn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know her from Eve's Apple. That was the women in metal community that was created almost 15 years ago around the female-fronted metal community in Belgium and in Germany and the Netherlands, of course. And VK was also telling us that when she committed to doing one song with a music video per month, it sometimes was so difficult to find the motivation and the inspiration, but it actually helped her grow as an artist as well. Was that the case for you as well? Did it inspire you, challenge you to your songwriting?
Definitely, and I thought that it was necessary as well, because when you build a platform like that, there are no set rules. There are a few set rules of what you can and cannot do, but basically, like, it's up to you to decide what are you going to give to people. And for me, promising the song every month was important on two levels. Level one was I have to give people something very tangible and valuable, because the thing is, Patreon is a great way to connect with the community, but I had always been one to, you know, I always love to go out and meet people after shows. I always love to give people my time and my energy, because people give me energy, you know. I didn't want it to be like, okay, now we have a platform and I'm going to charge you for it. I wanted to give people something super tangible and real to make it worth their while. And at the same time, my main struggle as a songwriter was finishing things. Because I would always have a lot of ideas, but I would often get stuck at a point where I felt like it didn't reach the level that I wanted it to reach in my head. You know, often like songwriting is kind of a circle where you go like, I have this amazing idea. And then you go, oh, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Right up until you're nearly done, or maybe even 2 weeks after you're done, where you're like, oh, this is actually kind of cool again. but like often it's very easy to get stuck halfway that circle. So for me, it was also just a very practical tool to say, you're going to finish all these ideas. You have to. I cheat every now and then if really life throws me like a curveball. I've done covers at some points. I've done a live track once or twice, like very nicely mixed and stuff. Sometimes if I do feel the music, but I don't feel like putting my feelings to words, I've also put poetry that I really love to music. So there's a lot of ways to kind of get through that moment if it's there. But now I think the next one going out is Song of the Month number 64 or something.
Wow.
Been going for quite a while.
Yeah, that's incredible. How long did it take you to build that community, to support yourself so that you could say, okay, I can let everything else go and all the worries about your financial life as well?
I never really let those worries go, because the thing is also, the more you do and then the more you aspire to do, the bigger the financial burden also gets. Like touring, I think I'm not surprising people if I say that for bands up until a certain level, like touring costs money. Touring is a big investment. Same with making albums. So for me, the first couple of years were relatively easy because I was just in my basement and I was putting out the music and I only had it mixed. And I had artwork made and I made videos, and this cost money, of course. But there wasn't like the very big productions. I only made videos when I felt like, I think it's time. And I wasn't investing in the live product. So actually now it's starting to, because you know, the more you want to do, the more you have to put into it. So that worry never completely went away, but again, back to your question, like how did the community grow? I was shocked myself to find out that the day that I started the Patreon, I think it started with like 500 or 600 members straight away.
Impressive.
But I think that also has to do with the fact, you know, that I had been working for a very long time and that I had been making these connections with people for a very, very long time. So I don't think that the people who signed up that day learned about me that day, you know. So I was very fortunate to get that great start into the platform.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'm very happy about is since there's also free memberships offered, because I always hated the fact that people, when they have like exit surveys, and people would tell me, oh, I quit my job or COVID and I'm struggling and so I have to leave the community. So I feel like it's become much more complete ever since the free memberships are offered as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that something that was possible through the support of the other members?
No, it is really something that Patreon launched at one point, and I was like, yay. Yeah.
Nice. Did that also maybe help you or make you even go into production or gaining technical skills and knowledge?
Yeah, because the very first song that I put on Patreon was the very first song that I produced, like from start to finish myself. And then a year in, you know, I put Tales from 6 Feet Under out, which was like, I have a basement and I call it the 6 Feet Under studio. So the record was called Tales from 6 Feet Under because, but looking back, I'm like, you put your very first productions out on an album that is available publicly. Like you've been practicing very publicly, but my learning curve was very, very steep. So yeah, it definitely helped. If I look at productions from the beginning now, I'm like, because for Delane, for example, like I recorded my vocals at home at one point, but that was about it in terms of production, not in terms of songwriting and stuff, but in terms of production, the vocals was the only thing that, you know, I actually recorded myself. So yeah, that was new. That was fun. I learned a lot.
That sounds super cool. Are you offering or maybe thinking about it in the future to offer production to other bands or projects?
I don't feel good enough for that. I mean, every now and then it's also something on Patreon where people ask me about it sometimes, and I show them things like how I do it. But I'm not convinced enough that I'm doing things the right way to be... You know, maybe if... I don't know. It's not something I'm actively pursuing at the moment.
Okay, good. That was very diplomatic.
I don't want to put myself down, but also I'm like, yeah.
Going back to the building of your community, was Amanda Palmer an inspiration? Amanda Palmer, in her book, The Art of Asking, she is one of the, I don't know if one of the first, but she has for sure a very long time running huge community of supporters, and her philosophy about how to ask for help in this way, I think is very inspiring.
Definitely. She was definitely an inspiration as well. And her Patreon was an inspiration as well. Her book was an inspiration as well. The beautiful thing about asking is that people can say no. And I always feel like if people feel free to ask and if people feel free to say no, that is probably the best, you know, in any kind of, and I'm not just talking about big communities, but also with your friends or with your family. Some people will be afraid to ask for what they need just out of fear of being rejected. But yeah, I love a place where people can ask things and other people can say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a difficult thing to balance, I think, from a more psychological perspective. I always say that asking for help, especially when we're talking about mental health issues, asking for help is really brave and very necessary. And your community and your friends are there. They want to help you. They want to support you through the dark times. So it's actually kind of mean not to ask them in a way. And at the same time, yeah, sometimes I tell myself, if I don't ask, I might lose on an opportunity. And if I ask, the worst thing that can happen is they say no.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that coin as well, in order to protect ourselves, sometimes we have to say no.
This is absolutely true. And sometimes I'll ask the community, I call them my masterpieces. I ask them about, their opinions about things, or if I'm struggling with something, I feel like it's about much more than just about songs at the end of the day, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah, there's for sure an emotional connection. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there any advice talking about how Amanda Palmer's community and work influenced you? Is there any advice that you would give musicians, especially women and queer people in the metal community?
The thing that I loved about going into Patreon was that for the very first time, I kind of felt like I was fully in charge. And I mean, with that comes responsibility, of course, but I thought that it was very nice to carry that. And something that really helped me to do that was also actually to learn production, because that was the thing that allowed me to, before I always had to go to someone with an idea and kind of, translate my ideas and then have people collaborate with me. And while I love collaboration, I love to seek it out. Mm-hmm. But it's also wonderful to just sit with an idea or a feeling, think about it, and then be able to present that idea from the start to the beginning. And if I had to give an advice to other people, this is different for everyone, of course. For me, it was dipping my feet into production that really helped me feel more secure. But if you find your passion, really sit with it and make sure that you're able to find your language with it, and then just speak that language as loudly and clearly as you can to those who want to listen. Yeah. And maybe also those who don't want to listen.
Those who need the messages.
And those who need it, yes, exactly.
Yeah. And part of that, I guess, because that's just learning to express yourself and your ideas, as you were saying, in a more authentic way, in a way that is more you. But another aspect of that expression is, I think, as well, your aesthetic and how you present yourself, the visuals, the artwork, everything that goes on stage, etc. Little blast from the past, a quote that you said on the documentary, Soaring Highs and Brutal Lows.
Yes.
Was that while your bandmates are able to just throw in jeans and a t-shirt to go on stage, because you're a woman, you actually have to put some thought into what you wear on stage. Has that changed? Do you still stand by that?
I think that past me would be happy to know that I have regularly performed in jeans and a t-shirt since. Mm-hmm. So
okay.
I love just having options, and I also feel like that is another thing where sometimes we feel like we have these limits, within which we have to perform, and it is nice to every now and then step outside of them and see, okay, if I do this, if I draw outside of the lines, what explodes, And sometimes it's really comforting to know that you can do so and that nothing will explode. It's nice.
It sounds very freeing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Cool. I really enjoyed, however, the outfits that you were all... There was no jeans on your stage today.
There were no jeans on the stage today, no. I have to say it. It was like a wide sleeve dress, but I'm just going to shout them out because I like them a lot. It's from this very small designer, and the brand is called Fashion Brand Company. Isn't that cool? And the funnest thing about their website, I'm not sponsored by them, like I bought the clothes. But the funnest thing about their website is they have different sections, like, bottom, shirts. And then they have one section which is children and lizards.
Okay, nice.
And they actually have a lizard outfit on there. So, if you want to be entertained, check it out.
Will do.
There's a baby version of that dress that I wore.
Wow.
Can you imagine how cute that is? Okay. Yes.
It reminded me a little bit of Blue Spills, this whole 70s feel to everyone's outfits, though.
Yeah,
it was very cohesive. It was really nice.
Oh, thank you.
I love
that.
You. Stepping outside the lines and the boundaries that society has put on us, especially as women, reflects on the values that we live by and that society lives by. We were talking yesterday about the values of heavy metal and how, on the one hand, we seem to be very traditional in the sense that we want to be friendly and the metal subculture is a family, and on the other side, we are also raging against the machine and supposedly against the systems of oppression. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, in complete honesty and transparency, I struggled with it a little bit, and to no discredit of where we are today and how happy I am on this stage. Even a festival like this one is owned by a company that is owned by a company that has their hands in things that I very much oppose. So I also, for today, I had to make a consideration, like, are you going to make a statement with your presence or with your absence? And I've chosen to do so with my presence, and I'm very happy to be here today. I'm very happy that I did. But these kind of considerations are so heavily they're so heavily present in our everyday lives, and especially if we're talking about this, another consideration of mine was, okay, but what does my bank invest in? Where do I buy my stage clothes? Well, this one's fine, but I've also worn Zara dresses, and fast fashion itself is a whole other pit of ugliness. So it's a question that is always very, very present on my mind. In fact, it might be too present. I want to say it takes a lot of energy, but then I don't want to say it takes a lot of energy because the ones who kind of suffer the consequences suffer them so hard that I don't want to be bitching about the energy that I spent thinking about it. But I do think that, there is so much that we can do with our everyday actions, like where we spend our money, where we don't spend our money, that can, affect the world around us. And I think that also just talking about it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I always feel very happy because, like you said, the metal community for me has always been a very welcoming and a very open community. I've never been afraid to say what's on my mind. Well, maybe a little, but not more than I would be in any other context. And maybe even a little bit less. So yeah, I think it's kind of an ongoing thing to stay present in the world around you and not only seeing where you are at that moment, but also kind of the butterfly effect of what you do and how it affects the world around you and the people around you. And it can be as simple as, being kind to the people around you and reaching out if you see that people are struggling, but it can be in lots of different ways as well.
Yeah, every little decision that we make can affect, as you were saying, people on the other side of the globe in a huge way, and it's really difficult to manage all of those thoughts and all of those decisions nowadays. I feel like that too. Would you want to repeat for us the statement you might or might not have done on stage?
Well, mainly what I said. I wrote a song a while ago. It was called Toxic, and it was a middle finger to patriarchy in response to what was happening around the globe back then. But I felt that as the world is changing, I feel like that song might just need to keep changing as well and adapt to the situation. So today the song was more, I changed the lyrics to be more kind of about those who would prefer you to stay silent in the face of injustice. And that became the toxic in the song today. And I mainly wanted to call out to people how you might think, I am just one, but how your voice really matters, how your anger also really matters. It's okay, it should be there. And also how your compassion really matters. And if I look at myself, I get intimidating speaking about these things because that people might agree with you, people might not agree with you. People who can agree with you on 99 things might disagree with you on this one thing. And it's always a bit intimidating, but when I see someone who has the courage to speak out about it, Bambi Thug yesterday, she was absolutely fucking amazing, and she was, very loud and proud and great. If I see people doing that, then, I feel inspired about that. So, you might be the inspiration to people around you. And also don't get discouraged, like if you talk to someone or if you have a discussion with someone and you don't make them see your point. I feel that in a lot of circumstances, sometimes you will need to hear something like 20 times before it actually sinks in. And you might have been, number 1 of 20, or you might have been number 5 of 20. But I remember I am almost entirely vegan. Well, back when I used to eat meat, I've been eating meat for such a long time, and now I still wonder, but there have been many, many steps in that process. And many, many people who have talked to me about it. I was a little bit quicker about this on stage, though. But my main message would be not to get discouraged because, you are just one voice, because your voice might be the one to make a change for someone, or it might be one of the several voices that makes a change for someone. And it might feel other people who feel like you less alone. And you might never know. But it's still important.
It is.
Yeah.
It is very much important because we live in a society and in a system as well that makes us so individualistic.
Yeah.
And what we need as humans is community, is a tribe. We all need a tribe. Humans are not made to survive alone. And what you were just talking about, veganism specifically, is something that we talked to Alisa Whiteglass, friend and collaborator.
She was one of my voices, that, yeah. As I'm sure she's been for many.
That's what I was going to ask you. 2 years ago, she was here with us on the forum talking about how she sees herself as an activist first and a musician second, and how music is her tool to bring the message of animal rights to her community and to everyone who will listen to her voice. Would you share that concept or that feeling? Or it doesn't necessarily have to be first on your list, but do you also feel like an activist?
I am a strong believer in the fact that everything is political. If you choose as an artist not to involve politics in your music, that itself is a choice and a stance. It's also a privilege. So I do believe that they're heavily intertwined. I would not necessarily say that one is the platform for the other, but they are married for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. Thank you. Now it's time to read the questions that the audience brought us. First question asker of today is Reta, and she wants to know, with supportive people around you, has it been easier to be more free and experiment with your music and fashion choices?
Definitely. And this is without judgment to the past, but in the past few years I felt much more free to experiment, to say the things that I wanted to say, and there is still limitations. Sometimes your own courage or lack thereof is the thing that is holding you back. But I do kind of feel that I could decide tomorrow to do something completely different, and I could just do that, which is very nice. And also today, when I really felt like I had to say something, I feel fully supported by my team and my bandmates, who are all wonderful, and many of them came with me from the lane as well. Mm-hmm. So we've been together for a very long time. So if I didn't feel that support from the community, then I think it would be a lot harder. I feel like it's mainly my own levels of courage that are holding me back whenever I feel limited in that sense.
That's nice, though, to know that you have the support.
Yes.
Another question. This one is from Sanna, the Finnish windmill. They want to know if they are allowed to write, I guess, their bachelor's thesis about you and your music marketing.
Oh, wow.
That's a very nice offer.
Go for it.
Thank you.
Nice. I'm very curious how that's going to work. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. If you have any questions, reach out.
And afterwards, get in touch with us so we can have you on the podcast to talk about that.
Sure.
There you go.
Thank you.
Things are thinking.
We also have a question from Martha. Would you produce other bands and artists as well? I think we went through that. We might have to convince you, though.
I mean, I could try.
And Reta also wants to know about writer's block.
Hey.
How do you get over that? Or have you ever dealt with it?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a lack of ideas necessarily, but sometimes there's just a moment where you don't want to put your emotions out there. Sometimes it feels like a very exhibitionist job. You kind of work off of your own, even if you write about something that's happening on the other side of the world, in the end, you're writing about your own thoughts and feelings about them, frustrations, whatever. So sometimes I'll have a moment when I don't necessarily want to emote. And then one of my things is I really love poetry. So occasionally I'll take a poem that I really love and then I'll put that to music. It's almost meditative or something to do so. Or putting yourself through certain challenges is also fun. For example, there's these rhyme schemes, like these classic rhyme schemes that certain songs follow. It's a lot of fun because you find out that you can sing Amazing Grace to the tune of the Pokemon theme song and stuff. And then I'll think like, okay, so I'm going to write a song in that rhyming scheme. So if I feel like I don't have something like this is what I have to, sometimes you have a song that just flows out. If that doesn't happen, I'll give myself fun little challenges. I don't want to sound lazy, but the thing about the song every month is that also sometimes you can just be silly goofy with it, because there will be a next song next month, and that can be like a very big, ambitious, and if this month you feel like I have to do a silly goofy song, then you do a silly goofy song. For the very first time, a little while ago, I had dreamt the chorus of a song.
Wow.
Never ever happened to me. And it was like the lyrics, and it was 4 lines. It was the lyrics, it was the fact that it was supposed to be sung in a vocoder, and in the dream, like I was kind of putting the chords there, so I was like, I have to do it. But the song itself was very silly, goofy. But I was like, I have to make it. It came to me in a dream. Like, so I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of also the fun of putting yourself to a challenge like that, to overcome this thing of I'm an artist, I need to be good. No, you just have to make art. It can be bad art.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me like 5 or 10 years ago, I wouldn't have even called myself an artist, because I would be like, that sounds so, But of course I'm an artist. I might make bad art sometimes, but it's
still
it's
art.
kind of liberating to accept the thing that you are and do.
Right. We have a question. Are you excited about Rockstadt Extreme Fest in Romania?
Definitely. It's coming up fast. Altogether, this summer, doing multiple international metal festivals again. We had our first ones last week, and before going into it, I felt like, oh, this feels like a lifetime ago. But I was so excited about it. We were all so excited about it. So yeah, we're very happy. Festivals is a different thing. It's like a different animal. Metal festivals are a really cool animal, like maybe an axolotl or something. Like, it's like it's yeah.
Awesome. Our next question from Reta says, what activities other than music writing do you enjoy to activate your brain with?
Walking with my dog, Lego. Gardening. I love gardening. I love plants and flowers and things that grow. I like taking care of them. I used to paint and draw, but not so much anymore. Mostly the outdoor things, just walking, running, the pets, and the little plants and flowers.
The nature.
Nature, yes.
Awesome. Anna wants to know, when you write songs, what comes first, the melody or the lyrics? Or is it always like in your dreams, the whole package?
But that was really rare. That was the whole thing. Like, it had never happened to me before. I wish it did more. So it used to always be a combination of a lyrical and melody hook. Like, they would kind of come together. And then I would build from that in terms of melody and lyrics. And then I would see if I could find out what kind of chord progression would go under that, and I'll flesh it out from there. But I think since doing production more, it's become more, sometimes I'll have a new plugin and it will have this really cool sound, and I'll just start playing with the sound, and then I can sometimes make the whole song instrumentally, and then only think, like, of course you always kind of feel what it's about, because there is always some sort of vibe, even if it's not in words. But it will now sometimes happen to me where you have like almost a fully instrumental song, and then I have to think, oh, well, what am I going to do? But usually the go-to, most common is still to start with some words or some word melody combo. Like there's one line that gets stuck in your head, and then if you like it enough, it's like, okay, you're going to be a song.
Nice. And our last question is, what is the best way for someone inexperienced with recording programs to learn how to do it properly? So how do you start with music production?
I just watched a whole bunch of YouTube tutorials. Yeah, all these people making these tutorials, like they're doing the Lord's work. If you work with a certain program, like I work with Cubase because I'm a dinosaur, is what people tell me. I love it. It's the best. I work with Cubase, and they have a lot of tutorials themselves, which is very, very helpful. So I can recommend it to everyone. Also, the thing that I started with was really like one of those tiny little Akai MIDI keyboards, tiny, and just a bunch of synth plugins. And like the first few songs that I put out on Patreon was just a free plugin that I got with the synth keyboard, and then the drum and string libraries that came with my DAW, just with Cubase. And it was just me, tapping out the drums on the little MIDI keyboard. And I think that, even that was fun, and it kind of sounded cool in the end. So, just have fun with it. There are so many resources out there, even if you don't want to spend any money, like a few tenors on a MIDI keyboard, free plugins, YouTube tutorials. I really think that it's not very hard or expensive to get into, and anyone who tells you that it is gatekeeping.
That's good to hear. To wrap up, and going back to the title of our session, The Power of Community, what is your favorite thing about this whole journey that you are living with your solo project being your main thing right now?
I just feel very grounded, which is very rewarding. I feel very in touch with my community. I feel very close with my band and my team. It might be important to say that my husband is actually very involved in the team as well. Ever since I started doing this for myself, he started doing my bookkeeping, and then he wanted to find out what mixer we needed for live. And today you might have seen him on the stage tacking. I learned a new job in these past few years, but he's learned 3 new jobs, and he's doing it while he's also doing a full-time job. So he is not one who wants to be in the spotlight, so I'm not even going to say his name, but I do have to give him a lot of credit for the way that he has supported all of this as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Thank you so much for sharing all of these beautiful, also very emotional conversations with us today. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And please give it up for Charlotte.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Don't forget, of course, to check out her Patreon and her album, which is amazing. I really love it.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed her show, and thank you. Thanks again.
And that was our talk with Charlotte Wessels, and it was so much fun. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bleeding Metal podcast wherever you listen, and also on YouTube, so that you don't miss any of the rest of the Tuska Forum by Bleeding Metal sessions of 2025. There's video this time, and they are super exciting, as you can see. See you around.